Kawika,
What's up, Neil?
how you doing?
I'm good. Getting ready for the holiday season, Christmas, New Year's, wrapping up year end. Pretty exciting stuff. How about you?
Oh, same, same. You're seeing me in a condition I very rarely am in, which is cold. Uh, the heat isn't working in this otherwise really nice office, so hence the things I don't wear very often, jackets, etc. But um, anyway, we thanks for making time. We were having a conversation about some things, some year-end things, and I can't remember if it was you or me kind of stopped the conversation dead and be like, hey, we should record this. This should be open. A lot going on. I mean, I've seen you just scramble helping families set up things. And then one day, and then you're talking to CPA. And then we're both doing like DAF contributions for clients. That's the Donor Advice Fund, which is one of the best, which is the easiest, best way to kind of start a personal charity fund, if you want, if you will.
That's
Um,
right.
but yeah, we figured all these things. There's just a lot of kind of useful things. It's year end. It's December 23rd, 2025. Um, Always a special day for me. And anyway, so we thought we'd just kind of have this in the open and yeah, and chat. Uh,
Yeah, that's a great kickoff. I guess before we go down that route, just want to congratulate you and the entire firm on 5 years. 5 year anniversary of the firm is here, and it's really exciting, and I'm really proud and appreciative of my opportunity to work here. So congrats, boss.
no, I mean, you guys have made the last 5 years amazing, and I'm in the middle of writing about it, some themes, and a lot of things. A lot of times when you write about a journey, it's a little mixed because it's just the beginning, and yet you can't help but think about some things that happened over time, or even just the genesis of everything. And um, kind of happy to say, besides gratitude, the things I think about the most are how everything that the whole premise is uh, not just valid, and the things and the ideas we all put to use. It's not only valid, is it? I I think I underestimated a lot, and especially on the topic of people like yourself. I mean, one of the reasons for doing this was to put great ideas to work with and great people, and make that a core function, a core process, and have core values.
We got, it's like you said, it's good to kind of evaluate where we are, and I feel the same way. A lot of gratitude, but a lot of excitement too. I think there's some big things ahead for all of us. We have a great clientele. We're building that. We're building the business, and I look forward to 2026. So let's uh, let's talk a little bit about year end stuff.
Yeah, so like I said, you've been running around. So between DAFs and tax things and just general year-end business, what kind of struck me was the depth and the breadth of what you're doing. I mean, on one hand, it's these charity things. On the other hand, it's working with business owners and even solopreneurs, not just consultant types, but we are through you. We are in the athlete advisory business, or athletes and entertainers, which is a fascinating uh, business and industry, and not just for obvious reasons. Uh, what's interesting is kind of behind all of these people that one might see on TV or pay to go see is a real business. And
That's right.
anyway, that's been really exciting. So
Yeah, it's fun to get into that space. Some of just our circles, inner circles, personal relationships have led to some new clientele, and it's been fun to work with them and their families because, like you said, these types of entrepreneurs, athletes, entertainers, they are themselves a business. And so we're able to create entities, accounts for them, obviously help manage their money, but also really work with their CPAs, and occasionally their attorneys as well to make sure that their team is robust and that we're really taking care of the efficiencies on the investment side, but also on the tax side. Part of that has been setting up retirement accounts, SEP IRAs, and helping make contributions for them, and even getting involved in some of the payroll activities as well. So that's been fun, and yeah, I look forward to
Yeah,
continuing that next
and
year.
I can't wait to do sort of the NIL episode with you, and just this. We're both fans of sports and college sports in particular, and what's been going on has just been fascinating. I mean, yeah, as we watch games, it is it is a constant conversation, and things are in flux. With I think the whole industry's grasp of what's going on in college in general. But anyway, we're going to dig deep into that soon because this is actually, I think, really fascinating and has various ramifications, not just for education and we're essentially 18 to 22-year olds, or it seems like the case is 26-year olds, but but
Yeah. Yeah, that's
uh,
right. I mean, we'll dive down that rabbit hole another time.
yeah,
I think the landscape is changing so fast. It's
right,
ever evolving, so we really have to kind of keep us on our toes, for better or for worse. I mean, I
yeah,
know some people really disagree with what's going on at the at the college level. Some people agree or just kind of embrace it, kind of in between on that. But it has, opened up an avenue for, I guess they're not kids, but young adults to make money playing sports at the college level. With that brings opportunities to help them and help their families, and almost a little bit of a passion project for me, and as well as a couple of already professional athletes as well this year. So,
yeah,
um,
excellent.
so that's
Um,
that's been great. But yeah, let's kind of turn back to just kind of year-end planning stuff. I think at year end, it reminds me of really, I don't want to call them little things, but it reminds me of things that all the things that we really do help our clients with and our families with. And it really does add up. And at year end, it's a reminder for me on some of the value that we bring for them. And it's really a nice time for us to get in front of them and really discuss some planning things through the new year and then into 2026.
yeah, so talk about some of the I know we're both doing a lot of year-end things. Some of them are the same, some of them are very different. I don't need to go into sort of the laborious tasks of tax loss selling and looking at positions by tranches and people listening, you probably know what I'm talking about. You're getting a lot of trade confirmations in mail, and I apologize for that, but uh, these are sort of low-hanging fruit tax savings, and you all understand. But tell me a little bit about, like, I mean, even just stories or individual themes that are just kind of coming up a lot, especially this year.
Yep.
Um, I'll let you go.
Yeah, so I mean that's good explanation a little bit by you on what we're doing on the investment side, and then we're both doing a lot of planning things too, but I've been focusing on a lot of that with my clients. Charitable donations. That's been a big theme of 2025. Maybe for a few different reasons. Some of our clients have had large income years for whatever reasons. An important re or a reason to maybe open up a donor advised fund, or make larger contributions to a donor advised fund. Perhaps it's at the encouragement of the CPA as well. Tax laws are changing. Charitable donation laws are changing in 2026. So potentially front loading some donations in 2025 has been advantageous.
Right.
Or maybe it's just sentiment, or maybe it's just the theme of the year. People are wanting to give.
Yeah, the donor advice fund thing is kind of interesting because long story short, right? It's a great vehicle because it's like donate now to a fund that you essentially control. They call it donor advised because technically a bank is the sort of the charitable arm, or you're using the charitable arm of a bank or brokerage. So, which is great. They do all the administration, all that. You just fund it, and you get to decide when and where gifts are made. Um, and what's nice is you can donate appreciated stock. So, donate a bunch of stock that you have little cost basis on. It's all profit. It goes in this donor advised fund that, and not only do you control it, but it is an arm's length donation. You get to write off the full market value of that gift to your own fund. Um, People are doing that. I guess like a lot of things, one of the one of the things that is somewhat gray area still, or wasn't really thought through or even codified enough, I think, is the timing. So, there's been some criticism. People can, donate as much as they want, and they don't necessarily have to give from it that year or the next year. The giving, the timing, the amounts are kind of up to you, it seems.
That's
Uh,
correct. There's high flexibility.
High flexibility.
High
So you
flexibility
can be
in
as,
when and who do you give to and how much.
right,
You are really controlling that. One of the benefits too is that you can grow this donation for many years tax
right,
free. And
right,
so and so I actually had a conversation with someone about this. Do you go the donor advised fund route? Because potentially let's just use a round number, $100,000 donation into the donor advised fund, potentially that grows and turns into, let's say, $1 million in a few years.
right,
Whereas if you were to just donate cash and or appreciated stock to a charity this year, and you can still get the deduction, obviously,
right.
that's kind of a one-time thing. The organization typically sells the stock, and your impact might not be as great.
The point is, it is as soon as it gets to that fund, it is no longer in your estate. So whether you give next year, half of it away next year, or you make some grants over time, or you really kind of slow play it and you let it really compound, who cares? Because it just means a much bigger donation is going to be made to some 501(c)(3) down the road, right? So
Right.
I guess the main point is, to get that deduction, to make that gift, it's out of your control, or at least, I'm sorry, it's out of your state, but not out of your control. So, in a way, it's the best of both worlds. You get to have this very infrastructure light, uh, almost like a private foundation, and you can award money as you see fit, as long as the receiver is a real charity.
I agree.
Yeah,
And the other thing to mention is just when it makes sense. I mean, I think for people that want to give large amounts, it makes sense regardless. But especially if you have highly, highly appreciated stock positions that will trigger massive, massive capital gains
right,
tax. Maybe they're really, concentrated as well. So that was kind of
right,
a test case for us was how do we kind of diversify out of these concentrated positions a little bit while not
right.
triggering capital gains? So what people might not understand is once that stock position goes into the donor advised fund, we can then now go and trade it. We can diversify out of it and doesn't trigger any tax ramifications.
Yeah, for years I've been, real adamant with people, no matter kind of their age, if you're going to give appreciated assets, or if you're, RMD age or actually 70 and a half or above, give directly from your IRA, counts toward the minimum required minimum distribution, and in a lot of our clients' cases, it's better than a charitable deduction, because you're just avoiding income, so you're not taxed on it in the first place. So from a dollar basis, probably more powerful doing it that way. Um, and it's sort of an advantage because it's limited to people above a certain age, and you're only allowed to do like $100,000 worth of it.
That's
Now
right.
that's a lot of money, of course, but it's they do limit. You have a $3 million IRA, it's not like you can avoid income on $3 million.
Yeah,
um,
that's right. And I think, kind of moving on, I think you mentioned this, but okay, so kind of three different ways that we're looking at giving this year. One is through a donor advised fund for certain clients. Um, Two is you've already mentioned this as well, but is appreciated stock. So we don't really recommend writing checks to charities out of the bank account, especially
Never,
there you
never.
go. That's a cardinal rule from Neil
Cardinal
Rose.
rule. This is free money we're talking about. Yeah.
So, giving appreciated stock because you don't have to pay the capital gains tax on that. And the third way is, and you mentioned this as well, is called the qualified charitable distribution. So QCDs, basically taking your RMDs, if you're 70 and a half years old or above, you can take your required minimum distributions and send them directly to charities, and you don't have to pay the income tax on that. So that's another great way to give as well.
Yeah, avoiding tax oftentimes, again, depending on your bracket and all that. I mean, avoiding tax often does have that net advantage to a write-off because it's not like nowadays you donate something and your AGI adjusts from the top. The deduction value percentage wise is limited for a lot of people. So it doesn't come off the top. If you're in the 37% tax bracket, it's not like your donation money comes necessarily off the top of that. So it's 37% tax you're saving it, or tax rate you're saving, or it's based on, it's capped at a lower level. So if you can just avoid the income altogether, you're avoiding 37% tax, and yet getting credit for your required minimum distribution. So both underutilized. I think the IRA thing. I think it's up to advisors, people like us, to really push the issue. I don't know if it's natural for any other professional type or people in general. It's just not something you hear about, read about very much. Um,
I think just another, talking about next level is just these discussions on what to do with the RMDs. I think it's really important. It's like next level kind of planning discussion service. I mean, because it can go back into taxable accounts, you can go to bank accounts. Obviously, you can take a cash distribution, use it for spending, whatever. You can also, and then like what we just described, you can donate it too as well. And sometimes that point gets I guess unnoticed. Part of this discussion too is inherited IRAs. Some of our clients have inherited IRAs. The you know if the deceased passed away post 2019, there's a 10-year rule, meaning you have to liquidate or empty that account within 10 years. So the beneficiaries have to empty those accounts within 10 years. And that sparks a discussion with the client as well as with the CPA on what's the strategy to do it. Sometimes these accounts are quite large. The required minimum distribution is quite small. So, what's the plan to distribute these assets over 10 years? Is it a large income year this year? Is your income going down in the future? Are tax rates changing? How do we hedge our bets? So, those are some discussions that we've had with clients as well that are really important to kind of help them over time. And I've enjoyed them because we get to talk with a CPA as well, and we get to make, just making sure that, we're really doing the right thing by them.
in, Inherited IRAs to me are always somewhat confusing, or they happen so infrequently that you sort of forget the rules, and they're a lot. I know people in our lives are on a sort of a lifetime withdrawal for the IRA they inherited, just because of when they inherited the account. Uh, then there's the 10-year people, and then there's the 5-year people, and it's like, which one am I, or which schedule am I on? And I used to think, oh, maybe we just always have this sort of guide ready to where we can give people, etc. And I figure it's just simple. The simpler is I'm just going to ask Kavika.
Mhm.
So, it's like, here's the situation. Non-spouse beneficiary inherited this IRA in 2021. What's the rule? And
Yeah,
and
yeah.
yeah,
That's a
so
great point. I think a lot of people don't know them,
it.
and
I mean, it
and
takes time.
even for us, we have to, continually keep up to date because things change. But
Yeah,
yeah, there are those laws that, and so helping families plan through those distributions is really important.
yeah. So maybe just a bit of free advice. It's like you can spend about 15, 20 minutes, and that's assuming you know where to look and find out these rules and all that stuff, or you can, I guess, call and get the answer in about 10 seconds
Yeah.
what it is. So anyway, really appreciate that. What else are you any big thing that oh, before I was gonna ask before we kind of move on, the deadline for opening a DAF, if one wants to do it, is like as soon as possible, right?
Yeah, I mean,
It
so
takes
this
it takes some days, right?
it
To
does. It
yeah.
typically takes anywhere between 5 and 14 business days, depending on the bank or the brokerage.
Yeah.
We
So
typically use Schwab, and we've had good turnaround times. We have a direct link to the giving office there. And maybe this is a little bit too late for this year in terms of opening one. Maybe not. Maybe
Kayla
not.
says not. So
Yeah,
Kayla the Badger is has gotten things done in like 5 days or
that's
less.
true. We did get one
And so
open yesterday.
I did ask her earlier. She said still good. Next week, not so
Yeah.
sure, but
Yeah. Well,
anyway.
we'll do our best. But yeah, I mean it's typically 5 to 14 business days. Um, and we've had quick turnarounds on those, which is good. But yeah, just quickly to wrap up the giving discussion, I think there's one more thing that we've been working on, and that's just and I'd love to hear your take on this. I know we're getting a little long here, but that's okay because I think these topics are really germane and important. Um, Giving to children or to heirs or to other family members. We've helped families do that as well for a couple of reasons. One might be to help with estate tax planning, and another might be just the fact that certain parents are wanting to help their kids out earlier and pass some assets along to them now, as opposed to help them out in their current financial situation, as opposed to waiting until death. Even though there are some benefits to waiting to step up in cost basis with certain assets, etc. But we have been helping them with that, and I think we're going to continue to see a lot of that. There's going to be a large, and there already is a generational transfer of wealth, and so this topic is really important, as is all of this stuff. Inherited IRAs. We're only going to see more inherited IRAs happen over the next 10 years. But what's your thought on giving now and, as opposed to potentially waiting until you die and then assets obviously naturally pass along to the next
Yeah,
generation?
it's a good question, especially since giving is, it's like toothpaste. It can't go back in the tube once you give it. Um, and I will say that I've seen, and I think this is, we talk about generational giving, but I think the givers from a generational standpoint have changed, right? Older or previous generations waited until they died uh, before anything was given. And a lot of those gifts often came as a surprise or with no like real context or information. Didn't even know about, the mom and dad's finances and all that stuff. And that I can say that probably leads to uh, poorer outcomes than one might think, especially by the giver. They're avoiding these kind of difficult, uncomfortable conversations, but what ends up happening is all this surprise and combination of surprise, windfall, and siblings. It's just a lot of chances for turmoil, bad feelings, resentment, et cetera, et cetera. I'm seeing givers now, or the current generation, let's say, middle aged to retired, et cetera, uh, you know, thinking more about giving during their lifetime. One, it's not just an increase in the desire to sort of help their kids, um, but it's also, I think, greater awareness about tax. But it's also just, I think it's just a little more savvy in terms of personal savvy, meaning, they want to feel good about their gift, right? So, don't wait till you die to give, uh, or so the narrative goes. Give and be able to see it, at work. And if
Hmm.
one can afford to do that, and one has a really good plan, and one has sort of thought through the ramifications of that, super. When it comes to kids, et cetera, I really think it depends on the situation. And, if you have, uh, you know, you kind of know right away what kind of kids you have, just in terms of their relationship with money and what they might not do with it, and what they do with it, and even in a situation where one's not very confident that the kid won't go and just spend it all. They also see ways to kind of mitigate that. Either way, it's good to kind of be out front and talk about these kinds of things. Talk
That's
about
right.
not just the
That's right.
money, but the responsibility or the priorities that the giver has, the parents have,
That's
And
that.
helping them realize this is a gift. So it's not an entitlement. Parents still have very huge influence over their kids, even adult kids. And so I think all things equal, you think about these things, plan them through, start small if you want to. Um, and if when in doubt or without really a plan or a lot of time thought through, there's always next year. Um, but I think it's a really good idea to
That's
get
a
in if one
that's
wants to, at least start the conversation, the planning early. Don't make everything a surprise.
yeah, that's a great point. I think one of the more rewarding parts of my job is getting to work with multi generations of a family. We have accounts for two and then now even three generations for certain families, custodial accounts for kids. And I think it's my goal is like, you want to help out that next generation, even the third generation, which are like my kids' ages. You want to obviously know, like help the family know that they're in good hands, but also you want them to be educated about money and about finances and about the family. And for me, it's like building a relationship that, they want to come to and they want to learn and they want to interact with their advisor, And for me, that's really important. It's not a meeting that I want um obviously anyone, but especially as you're building these relationships with these next generation clients, it's not something that needs to be a chore, you
Yeah,
know?
it could be very uh, again done the right way. I've seen it done very poorly. It should not be, hey, you're going to the principal's office or you're going to someone who's going to tell you exactly what I've been telling you, kind of thing. Especially if they understand that, hey, if I'm giving you advice, you, the kid, whether they're minor or especially as an adult, I have to think about you and your best interests, and even have a duty of privacy. And again, all this is up front to the kids. It's like, yeah, you want to give to your kids, but and they got accounts and all that, but don't think you can just automatically get into their account anytime you want, even for information. They got to sign off on that. It's their account. But it also kind of has this weird way of reinforcing, like, um, the empowerment, the responsibility, the independence, all the things that money should be working to promote. Um, but yeah, the less like paternalistic or maternalistic the whole process is, the less it's about lecturing and very heavy-handed or very condescending type of settings and conversations. Um, it's huge, and again, especially on the things that one doesn't learn in school, and some of the things that are truly not gray area at all. Like, it's black and white. Know this, and you're going to save money. Don't know this, and you're going to be paying money. I mean, simple things like
Compounding.
that. Yeah, the compounding, here, don't use, me, don't use bank CDs, and this is why, and and, um, do this,
It's
don't do that. Most of it
it's
about not what to do, it's what not to do, and then it's like, oh, a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of um, just a little bit of action, and just the value that it can create, especially over time. It's
yeah, that's
tremendous.
awesome. I think a couple of things just to wrap up. One is just helping families through those conversations, and not having them too late. And and really embracing that and wanting to help them through a lot of those conversations. And two is just that empower. Like I love that word empower. I actually had a conversation with a client yesterday. He encouraged his daughter to give me a call. We have custodial accounts for his kids because she had questions on investing in ETFs. And he told her, "Don't ask me, go call Kavika." And that then sparked another conversation, just 5, 10 minutes with her. to just help her learn. And then boom, now she's off and running, and she's empowered to go learn and make some of her own decisions,
Yeah,
which is really cool. So
yeah. I mean,
it's so funny that you said that happened yesterday.
yeah. People realizing they have they have agency, right? So uh, I like to start these conversations with, hey, just the everything that we talk about, you tell me is privileged. This does not get repeated to your mom and dad unless you want me to or tell me to. Um, and yeah, otherwise, like, not going to say anything. If they ask about our conversation, I'm just going to tell them to talk to you.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the guards start coming down, and then they realize, oh, this is for my benefit, right? Someone's spending time to hear me out and to try to help figure out the easiest, best way to get there, wherever it is I want to go.
All right. Well, that was
All
that
right.
was awesome. That was really fun capping off some year end, um, some of our year end work, and looking forward to 2026, and appreciate all of you guys for watching, and wishing you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thanks, Neil.
Thank you.